Hey, coaches, Joe Salas here. Welcome to Championship Culture. Got a special treat. An old buddy of mine, Gary Goff, who is the head football coach at Valdosta State University, is with us today. And Gary, you probably don't remember this, but that little JV team we had, that was my first head coaching job, and you were a part of that. So that's bringing
Oh,
back memories.
I,
But I
I
appreciate
remember it very well.
I appreciate you being on here, and I'm excited about learning from you. And we're going to jump right in. So, question number one is: can you give us a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself?
Absolutely. I never dreamed of getting into the coaching profession, much less becoming a head coach. But when I graduated from Valdosta State, I was kind of in the corporate world and did that for 3 years. My wife, we just got married and was a high school teacher. I got into high school coaching for 2.5 years. Brett Holgerson, who was Dana Holgerson's brother, got the head job at Iowa Wesleyan and called and offered me the offense coordinator job at Iowa Wesleyan. So we took that at the time and made just peanuts, for money, but we had no kids. So spent a season there. Hal Mumme got the head coaching job at Southeastern Louisiana. So I went there for 2 years with him, and me and his son, Matt Mumme, were co-coordinators for him. We won there pretty quick and got the job at New Mexico State. So we were out there for 4 years. After New Mexico State, I was at Princeton University for a year. After Princeton, I found myself in the middle of West Virginia at West Virginia Wesleyan for one season. And then about that time, I realized I wanted to be a head football coach. So I applied for several jobs. I got the head coaching job at Tiffin University. Was there for 8 seasons. Very fortunate. We flipped that program around. They'd only won 4 games prior to us getting there, and a lot of that had to do with us developing culture and developing leadership. And after being very successful there, it led me back to my home school, Valdosta State. So I've been here for 1 year now.
Well, I know everyone's excited to have you back, man. Go ahead and I know you've been probably doing a lot of stuff on Zoom with your players and your coaches. What is your working definition of culture?
Well, I think a coach, as a young coach, I never really thought a whole lot about that, to be honest. And, the saying's true. You don't know what it's like to be a head coach until you sit in that chair and all the problems come across your desk, and you don't have the experience sometimes to deal with some of these things. So you're learning on the run. So I learned real early that, what kind of program do we have here at Tiffin University? I mean, what do we stand for? Who are we? Our players don't know what our mission statement is. I don't even know if I have a very good mission statement. So for me, culture really defines who we are and what our set of beliefs are. And we work on those daily through leadership, through reinforcement, through a more cohesive team. But culture is always changing because your team is changing. So I think it's very important that you have your core values. And our core values here at Valdosta State define our culture and who we are.
You want to go ahead and share those real quick?
Yeah. I did some research on how to become a better leader, how to be a better head coach, assistant coach, and what are some things we need to do to teach our young men how to become leaders. Because if you think about it, as football coaches, we teach them our schemes, we teach them our practice, our tempo, and then we usually pat them on the shoulder and say, hey, good luck, I need you to be a leader for me today. But what does that exactly mean? So, I asked my staff one year, gosh, we got so much talent, what's wrong with us? And everybody said we just didn't have any leadership. So for 7 years, I worked with this group of people. Their company is called The Program, and you can find their website, theprogram.org. And they work with over 100 BCS, FCS, and Division II collegiate teams to develop leadership and more cohesive teams. So when I brought them in for the first time, I asked them, I said, hey, I want to get better too. And you're talking about real life James Bond and Jason Bourne people. They all have Purple Hearts. And so they come in, they work with you and the staff and the team for 48 hours. And the first meeting is with the staff, and they said, Coach Goff, what is your mission statement? And I kind of sat there for a second, him-hawed around, and he said, Coach, stop right there. He said, if you can't tell me what your mission statement is right now, how in the world can you have this staff follow you? And then how in the world are you going to have a team full of about 100 players follow you and know what y'all stand for and who you are? So I'm sitting there with big eyes, but I I ask for the criticism to get better. So, our mission statement now is very simple, and that is that we will win both on and off the field through our core values that will not be compromised. And that's it. So then we spend a lot of time deciding what our core values would be. And, for about 4 or 5 days, me and the staff just threw words up on the board, discipline, dedication, accountability. Like, what are some terms that are very, very important to us and correlate with life and the game of football? So, we kind of, dwindle those all the way down to 3. And our 3 core values, which we call here our Blazer values, are tough, attitude, and discipline. And, with our core values, we work on them every day. We talk about them every day with our team. I'll get up and talk about one of our values. I have a coach get up and talk about one of our values. And then we'll also have a senior get up at one point of the season and talk about their core values. But each of our core values, we also have standards that we hold each other to. So our first value is toughness. Well, the first standard of that is we want to give 100% effort 100% of the time. And, that sounds like just a football term, but it's more than that. That stats class on Friday morning, when you're tired and you can't stand the class and you're just not very good at stats, you know what tough is? And giving 100% effort 100% of the time is getting up, getting breakfast, and you get into that class before it starts, and you act like you're interested, and you raise hands and ask questions. You might hate it, but that's part of being tough. The next standard of tough is motivate each other through enthusiasm. It's easy for us teammates to, when things are bad, to fuss at each other and discourage each other. But all it takes is just a little bit of encouragement, and we can turn the there and have some positive things happen for us. And then the third standard is overcoming adversity, which is obviously a big term in football. But we all have a lot of adversity in our personal lives, and quite frankly, our country right now is having a lot of adversity that, as long as we come together and motivate with enthusiasm, we'll make it through it. Our second value, we talk about attitude. Attitude is our second value, and the standards to attitude is selfless. Team's got to come first. That is the most important thing. I ask my coaching staff in time to check their attitude or their ego in at the door, because we're all in this together and we all want the same things at the end of the day. And that's for our student athletes to have a great experience playing the game they love and to get their diploma, graduate. The second standard to attitude is always be in attack mode. And we preach about attacking everything you do. Obviously, football, weight room, that's easy. But, when you go to the cafeteria and eat that meal, hey, tell the people that prepare it, thank you. Hey, I really appreciate what y'all have done for us today. Hold the door open for somebody. Do something. Always put your best foot forward in everything you do throughout the day. And if we can do that one day at a time and again and again and again, we're establishing this culture. We're establishing what people think about us. We're challenging each other to be better in everything. The third value in attitude is positive body language. I mean, and the greatest example of this is our quarterbacks. If our quarterback turns the ball over, he walks off the field defeated and shoulders are down, well, your opponent knows they've got you, and your teammates know, boy, we're in for a tough game here. But we all make mistakes. If that quarterback made a mistake, but he comes off the field with his shoulders back and he's looking everybody in the eye and he's like, hey, my mistake, I've got this, don't worry about it. Sometimes we can feed off that. We feel like, okay, hey, we all make mistakes, but we're going to be fine right here. So body language is very important to us, and that's hard for some of our young men. Sometimes when they're being coached, they won't make eye contact. They want to look at the ground. So I think body language is important. The third value, and I'm sorry, Coach, I know I'm covering a lot and talking fast and not trying to talk too long for you, but the third value is discipline. We got to have discipline in our life. Our first standard is what we call Blazer time. And Blazer time for us means that you are going to be at that meeting, at class, in the training room, on the practice field before that session starts. I'm not saying you got to be there 15 minutes early. I'm not saying you got to be there 5 minutes early. I'm just saying you're going to be there early and prepared for that session or practice or training before that instructor or coach walks into that room. So we talk about the importance of that all the time. just 1 minute late can cause a lot of issues. So we work hard on that. I've actually not hired coaches before that have come on an interview and it was out of their control and they were late because something happened on the way there. But the other gentleman that I like just as much showed up 45 minutes early to make sure nothing was going to happen. So I think it's very, very important that we all practice being on time and being early. My wife would kill me for saying this, but after 22 years of marriage, I'm still fighting that battle a little bit.
Welcome to the club on that one.
Our second standard to our discipline value is pay attention to detail. And that's something that coaches talk about a lot, but it's something that can catch up with us real fast too. And it's something the players need to understand. Communication with each other is very important. Paying attention to detail that, hey, this is my field divider on this call, or, this is my split or stance on this call. I mean, I full-heartedly believe, our season last year came down to one play, and we had one person make one mistake, and our 10-0 season and a run for the national championship stopped right then and there. And we lost the game in the last 6 seconds of the game. So, pay attention to detail is extremely important because it can catch us at any time. And we stress that. And then the last, and maybe the most important thing with our team, our last value to discipline is accept accountability. And that's hard for us all. It's hard for me sometimes. I don't like letting anybody down. I don't like letting my boss down. And, I accept that accountability, but boy, it's hard to swallow that and tell your boss, my mistake, I'm not going to let that happen again. But I also think it's important to stand up and say, hey, that was me and that's my mistake. Because that cuts a lot of the pointing the fingers on a football team and, no, it wasn't my fault. I didn't hear Coach Salas's call. That's his fault. So, we're big on that too. But, to sum all that up, tough attitude and discipline, that is what defines our culture, and that is what we are about here at Valdosta State.
That's awesome, man. That's well put together. I know you talked a little bit about how you teach it, how you implement it. Can you just give a few more details on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first year this military group called, again, the program, came in to work with me. It was such easy tasks, and the way they explained things, I sat there and was like, I got to be the biggest idiot in the world. I can't believe this. And they tell me, they say, Coach, calm down. It's not you. Tom Izzo, they work with Michigan State basketball. They said, Tom Izzo said the same exact thing to us. And I think if that big of a coach and that successful a coach has the same problems you have, you're okay. But, one thing they did is, they give the team tasks. Okay. So we would break the team up like we just used to do in our winter games, our winter Blazer games. They break the team up into smaller groups, and then they choose one leader of each of those groups, and they pull that leader up, and they might give them a simple task. And it might be, okay, Coach Salas, I want you to get your team of 10 people on the 50-yard line, and I want y'all to be 5 yards apart, and I want you to put your right foot on the line. Do you have any questions about that? And the first time you go through something like this, the player's like, oh, no, that's easy. I got it. Okay, so they run out there, and you got one guy giving orders, but you might have somebody else on the team, on their groups, the alpha male too, and before you know it, you got 2 or 3 guys talking, and you go and check them, and they got 2 guys straddling the line. They got one guy with their left foot on the line. They're unorganized, and then we bring them back, and then we talk to just the leader. What were my instructions? Well, you said to do this and that. Right, but you forgot about saying they needed to be 5 yards apart. So we'll try it again, and we'll grow. So it'll be an easy task like that, but then the next one might be, hey, I need everybody at 7 a.m. lined up in perfect rows, perfect columns, and I need every player to have a towel and a bottle of water. Do you have any questions? Well, it just starts off to, well, how are we going to get in touch with everybody? Well, what if Coach, Salas doesn't have a water bottle. What if you don't give them any help? You just give them the exact order and let them learn through failing a little bit. So, we did this for years at Tiffin, and every year is a new phase to it. And there's so much more to this. I could speak for hours about how we implement it. But really, to sum it all up, what you're trying to do is put some of your players in a leadership role to where they're out in front of their team and they got to communicate and they got to be loud and precise, and they've got to be heard, and they got to be strong enough to say, hey, you over here. Hey, just be quiet for a second. Let me explain. Hey, you over here. Hey, let's be quiet and get on the same page. And it's amazing how many young men have not been put in that position, and how many of your best players who you think are your leaders are going to stand up in front of the team and can't count to 10 because they're nervous. And then you'll be amazed at how many guys who might not be the starter and might not even dress out for you, but they're the ones who aren't scared to get up and say, hey, guys, come on, we can do this. So what you're really doing is put them in different situations to see how they handle it, how they communicate, and then see what happens when they get frustrated. This military group gave us some exercises that Navy SEALs are going to fail the first time through. But it's amazing to see who gets so frustrated and wants to start yelling, and then who says, hey, guys, calm down. We've got this, So that's a little bit of what we do on a daily basis.
Okay, that was my next question is, when do you do this, and for over how long? So this is like season long that you're doing this, or when do you do it?
Yeah, we'll start this from day one in the camp, okay, and we'll start by talking to them about what our mission is, what's our mission statement. We'll talk to them about each one of our core values, and we'll talk to them about the standards, but we'll also talk to them about what does it mean to be a leader. What does that mean? And for us, I know there's a lot of different definitions maybe out there, but for us, a leader is someone who holds himself accountable first, then holds their teammates accountable and moves the whole group forward. And so we leave that definition that simple just because it's easy to remember. You will have individuals that want to be a leader, but yet don't hold themselves accountable. So that's an easy way to tell them, hey, look, I can't put you in that role. You might be my starting safety or quarterback or linebacker, but you're one of the ones that's late to meetings. You're one of the ones that doesn't give 100% effort all the time. So in order to become this leader, you got to start with you first. Hold yourself accountable. So we'll do this all the way through the season. And obviously in the season, it gets difficult because you're so wrapped into game plan and you're so wrapped into practice and you got the 20 hours you got to fit everything into. But we still will talk about it. This spring, we started every practice with a different assignment. So it might be, I want one leader on the 50-yard line, and I want the entire offense and even rows and even columns on one side of the 50, and I want the defense in even rows and even columns on the other side of the 50, and I want your helmet off and to the right, 1 foot away from you. And, they will go out there and get it right. And when they get it right, you got to praise them and say, that's a great job. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get to work, man. Days, you might have a few guys not want to take it serious. You might have somebody struggling to get out to practice or something's wrong. And my leaders would put the whole team on the line, and we'd run a couple of reminders, and we'd try to do it again. So you don't give in as far as if they can't get something right, you got to be prepared to, no, we're going to do things right and pay attention to detail. So spring was big for us. We did this every day throughout the spring. And, even one practice, we actually sat right there and we did military exercises for 2 straight hours in the pouring rain. And, we wanted to see who was going to throw in the towel, who was going to get mad and angry, who was going to say, oh, hey, guys, let's come together right now and get through this. We even played, over the speakers, some of the highlights of the only game we lost. And, just really trying to rattle their cage and get them out of their comfort zone to see how they're going to respond, because it's so hard for us to simulate game situations. It's impossible, honestly. But the closer we can get them in a in an uncomfortable situation that's the right way and got the right meaning behind it to learn from, then the better off we're going to be on game day.
Coach, that's fantastic, man. That's some of the best stuff I've heard so far. Here's another hard one for you. Question number 4 is the $1 million question. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got started?
Everything. There is so much. Again, early in my career, the only thing I was focused on is being a great assistant. I mean, I honestly, I never dreamt of being a head coach. I never even remember of having that desire of, I want to be the head coach of, such and such university. Doors just opened for me. I've always been big on people. I've always been big on treating people the way I want to be treated, treating people the way I'd want my children to be treated. When I became a head coach, hiring people that I don't care if they know all the football in the world. Just care, are they good people? Am I going to be able to trust them? Are they going to make me better? I don't want yes men. I want people who are also going to make me better as well. So, to answer that question is tough, but I would say I wish at a young age in this profession I'd have known that culture and developing leaders is the most important thing. And that's the honest, my opinion. How many of us have great X's and O's? You and me both can draw up plays right now that we think that's the best play in football. I don't care what you say, but millions of coaches say that, and I think that the teams that win championships, they've got more than just the X's and O's. They've got the great leadership. They've got the cohesive teams that are working together and are all behind their coaching staff. So, I wish as a 24-year-old getting into this profession that I knew what culture was and I knew more about developing a leader.
Awesome. All right. So I know you're about to get super busy. So do you have a Twitter? Do you have some way for high school guys to contact you without making you crazy and breaking rules and all that kind of stuff?
I do have a Twitter. Let me pull it up real fast so I don't give them the wrong handle. But obviously recruit much all social media nowadays. But yeah, it's just my Twitter handle is @CoachGGoff. So again, @CoachGGoff. And Coach Salas, you've been here, you've worked here before. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind I'm at one of the most prestigious Division II programs in the country. Valdosta State is an amazing place. Our doors are always open. Hey, please come by and check us out, coaches. If you ever have any questions or need any help, I'd be more than happy to help you. So it's a phenomenal situation I'm in. I'm very fortunate and proud to be here. And, Coach Salas, I really appreciate you keeping up with me through the years and reaching out to me for something like this.
I'll tell you what, man, you did a great job, but not only I know you're glad to be back home, but I guarantee you they're glad to have you because they clearly made the right decision. Man, you just knocked us out of the park and you just helped a lot of people. And I appreciate you coming on and doing this, buddy.
You bet. Thank you, Coach.